What's going on YouTube? Back from the dumpster fire, and this is probably the happiest that you will ever see me on this channel after a loss because I thought it was going to get out of hand. I thought that we would pull it off. The way Drew Lock started that thing off where he was running and the Giants were running the ball down the field and they were moving it, I was thinking, "Oh no, please don't let this be the game where we mess this up." And we missed out on a quarterback again, 2 years in a row. And I know some people aren't going to like this perspective because we just lost to a division rival. And listen, part of me is angry, is all get out. Part of me is disappointed. Part of me wanted to see us get that ball back and Drew Lock go down the field and go into overtime and try to go out and win that game. Part of me really wanted that, and part of me will be on here smiling if that happened. But we got to keep it real, folks. We got to keep it real. We cannot afford to be in a situation where we can't get one of these top two quarterbacks. The quarterbacks after are not of the same caliber. They're not of the same caliber. They are, it's a huge drop off there. So we cannot afford to be picking at 8. We can't afford that. Especially when we got guys that are playing like this on the team. We got guys like Drew Lock, guys like DeVito, guys like Tim Boyle, who I'm sure is worse than both of them put together. We cannot afford for those guys to be playing next year. And we cannot afford to go out and pay Sam Darnold, another $40-something million a year so he can come here and do the same thing that Daniel Jones did. Because who knows? Who knows what would happen if we paid somebody that much money? So we can't afford to go that route. Now, about this game today, I usually try to pull up the stats. I don't have them in front of me, but while I'm doing that, this team looked like they were tanking. They looked like they were tanking. They looked like they were wrapping it up. Because, from the start of the game, from the start of the football game, we see Rico Dowdle, a guy who ran for 100 yards today, who, let's face it, he's not that guy. He's not even close to that guy. He's not even as good as Tyrone Tracy. He's not someone that is a threat to do much of anything. And this guy broke so many tackles today. He had 80 plus yards after contact today, which means after they initially made contact with the guy, he had 80 yards today, over 80 yards. So that just shows you how poor the tackling was. Micah McFadden missed tackles. Bobby Okereke missed tackles. Darius Muasau missed tackles. Andrew Phillips missed tackles. Newbin missed. They all missed tackles. Adoree Jackson missed a bunch of tackles. Cordell, everybody pitched in. Everybody was horrible at tackling today, and it showed. It made Rico Dowdle look like, he's got a future as a number one back, and I'm sure maybe he'll be a complimentary guy, but he is not a number one back. This was his first touchdown today and his first 100-yard game today. That is no coincidence. So it looked like they were tanking. Now I don't think they missed those tackles on purpose, but it looked like it was a joke out there. So the tackling was as bad as you could possibly expect it to be. The tackling was atrocious. Something else while I'm still looking up these numbers. Let's see. Well, let's just read those off real quick. So Drew Lock somehow got to 178 yards. I would have told you he had like 80, but he had 178 yards today. Got sacked 6 times. He had 57 yards rushing today. Malik Neighbors, 13 targets, 8 catches, 69 yards. Now, Malik Neighbors should have had about 80-something yards, but they kept calling things back on holding calls that were kind of weak holding calls, but, it is what it is there. Theo Johnson today, 5 for 5, 54 yards, had some nice yards after contact. Gano finally made 2 things in a row. But let's take a look at the overall stuff. So we got 317 total yards for Dallas, 247 for us, 131 passing yards, once you include all the sack yardage for us, 195 for them, 116 rushing yards for us, 122 for them. So it wasn't that big of a difference as far as running the ball. First downs are around the same, 21 for them, 17 for us. But the biggest thing, and where I'm going to start to focus my attention to, is this team is undisciplined. Brian Daboll has this team undisciplined. I just spoke of the holding calls that they got called. They took plays off the board. They were good plays. Tyrone Tracy had a nice run. Malik Neighbors had a nice catch. There was a bunch that just got taken off the field, and there were a bunch of times where we just bailed them out after they had bad plays. This has happened for weeks now. They have bad plays, and our defense bails them out by jumping off sides. Um, 13 penalties today. 13 penalties today. Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, are we serious, man? It's time to call it. It's time to call it. I was a defender of him, and I don't think he's a scrub. I don't think he's a scrub, but Kayvon Thibodeau is not going to be the guy that we wanted him to be out of college. He's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be a game breaker. He's not going to be a game wrecker. He talks a great game. People love him. People think he's going to be that, but he's not going to be a game wrecker. And if he is, it's not going to be here because I just don't see it happening. Brian Burns and Dex, I mean, the quarterbacks are getting the ball out so quick, and when they're not getting there. Including Dex, I mean, it is what it is right there. So, I mean, I don't know if they've given up because they were so dominant at the beginning of the season. So maybe they gave up, but they're not getting it done right now. And it's really a shame. So the penalties, sometimes, like I said, it looks like, I won't say a lack of effort, but I will say that their heart isn't in it. And that can translate to lower effort than what might have been because these pass rushers are much more talented than what I'm seeing. And it's just really a mess at this point. So, I mean, the penalties, lack of motivation. The coach is continuing to make his seat hotter and hotter. He's got a match struck under his seat, and it's just the flame is getting bigger and bigger. And as you see, eventually we're going to get to this point where it's going to engulf the whole stadium. Let's see what else I had. Drew Lock today, I kind of touched on that. I mean, he didn't play well. He didn't really play well at all. Had a bunch of times where he just took bad sacks. He had some questionable throws, questionable decisions. Is he better than Tommy DeVito? I think the jury's out. I think he can make some throws that Tommy DeVito nor Daniel Jones could make. But at the same time, I think he makes some crazy, ridiculous decisions that neither one of them will make either. So I think you get some things that you didn't have with them, but you also, lose out on some things. So, Drew Lock was who he was, who he's been his whole career, which is a high mistake quarterback, a fumble today, an interception. It is what it is there. Malik Neighbors continues with the drops. He's got to figure out a way to get that under control. At least we didn't get a Tyrone Tracy fumble today, but we can't keep having these drops from the receivers. Malik dropped 3 passes today. Darius Slayton dropped a pass downfield, so we can't keep having these drops. I mean, they got to clean that up. But, I'll wrap it up on a good note. I think that the 2 rookies look good. I think Tyrone Tracy continues to look good every time he touches the football. I mean, like I say, he's got to hold on to the ball, but other than that, the dude is amazing. When he's in the open field, he actually is a factor, and I'm so satisfied about that because the Giants have taken 5th round, 4th round pick after 5th round, 4th round pick. I mean, going back to Andre Williams, who had just run for 2,000 yards in college, to Wayne Gallman, to Paul Perkins, all of these guys, Darrell Scott back in the day, all of these guys that we took in the 5th round, 4th round, 6th round, all of them have been like, basically, I mean, I guess the best guy out of that is Wayne Gallman. But besides that, all of them have just been, so-so. They've been so-so, and they haven't really been NFL starting caliber running backs. And we finally got a guy in the 5th round that really checks those boxes. And then in the 4th round, Theo Johnson today, I mean, he's starting to look more and more every week like the tight end that I think he can be, which is an athletic freak, agile in space, but also powerful and tough to take down. He got, really hit hard a couple times by some of these defenders, and he just bounced off of it and kept moving. And I think that's his game. I think he'll continue to do that. Of course, you worry about the longevity. You think of guys like Gronk that did a bunch of that, but right now, I think that his game can be really, really effective. Once we get a new quarterback in there, once we get Malik Neighbors a little bit more established on that outside and get another receiver out there, I think that's going to be great for the football team because Theo Johnson has all the physical tools, and he looked good today. Like I said, 5 catches, 5 targets, no drops, great yards after the catch, nice safety valve for the quarterback. But at the end of the day, folks, The tank is real. We're here for the tank. We are now holding the number one pick in the NFL draft, depending on what the Jaguars do. If they go out and win, we'll basically have it wrapped up and solidified. If they go out there and lose, uh, things become difficult. But that's where we are. That's where we are. We got to hold on to this pick through the rest of this year, which means minimal winning, if any winning, which is unfortunate because I want to see us win every week, but we got to do what's best for the football team. So um, if we can leave out of this season with the number one and number two draft pick, I'll feel great. I'll feel great. And we can go ahead and secure Cam Ward and Shador Sanders. Side note, if you want to see my film breakdown, my first film, because there's a lot more coming. If you want to see my first film breakdown of Shador Sanders, go ahead and become a member of the channel. That's up. All of these college film breakdowns are going to be going up on the membership side of my channel first. And then eventually they'll make their way out to, everybody else. But if you're interested in getting a sneak peek, the Shador video is up. The Cam Ward video is going up soon. And you guys have a great rest of your Thanksgiving. I'm sure you were not surprised by the outcome today. And, we're one step closer to getting our new quarterback. It could be, Mr. Perfect Time and Shador Sanders. It could be Cam Ward. But I think we're going to do it. I think we're finally going to get our guy.